Let me tell you, I'm a handyman. I got a hammer and it's books and everything looks like a nail to me. So let me read you a little something. Those who see all creatures in themselves and themselves in all creatures know no grief. How can the multiplicity of life delude the one who sees its unity? Talking about the cosmic serpent, y'all. All right, I'll follow the rules. I got a question.
Nice.
Where do you see the cosmic serpent? Somebody tell me.
I see it in my dreams, I see it in my eyes, I see it in my schemes. It's everything I'm scared of, it's everything I want to be. It represents my fear, it represents opportunity. It's calling to me. I got such nightmares, I got such dreams. I got all these delusions, I'm gonna be something. Or maybe I won't be. I can't control it, I can only breathe. I can only breathe. I know this ancient fear, this serpent kind of fear, it haunted Adam and Eve. Did they see him in their sleep? Try to get him to wake up to things, try to show him what they could be. All they heard was a little him kind of me. All they heard was a little kind of me. Can I let go of me?
Speaking of nailing it in the sin of knowledge, do you know what it's like to test your willpower? A new flower growing, showing its greens, plugging leaves through the mud, nailing an ideal to a stud of who you could be? Finally, it's just that easy. But will is only one hammer to nail. Sometimes it fails, and it is not the right tool. Give wisdom to the fool, and he'll build a whole new house. So what is it that you are building?
Someone said earlier that being happy is hard. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, is being happy hard? Or if I asked that question, like, what would people say? And what would happen if one person thought being happy was easy and one person thought it was being hard and they did this?
All right, I'm gonna jump in right now. It's been a while. It's a bit of a crowd, but that's okay because I'm gonna flow my way. So I'm just one person, but at the same time, I think happiness is easy and I think it's hard. It's interesting how we can exist in this paradox somehow. Sometimes you can be black and white, sometimes you're gray and a rainbow full of spectrum and color and beauty, and sometimes you just want to crawl into the depth of your soul and just be like, happiness is hard, yo. But it's so contextual at the same time, and it's so out of your mind and out of your control, and the emotions just flow, and that's kind of what happiness is, right? It's just a state of mind, it's a being, it's an emotion. And to me, emotions are habits, and somehow you can train them. But at the same time, you gotta leave that space for love and compassion and magic and grace and everything that you cannot name or dissect in a psychology book or some kind of research, because there's a lot of magic to the world too. And that's what is worth celebrating in this moment where things feel so great.
There's a lot going on in my life. There's a lot going on in my life, but it's okay. It'll be good. And now I'm trying to think what the next 50 is going to look like. And I want it to be 10 times better. Not just twice as good, not just 5 times, but 10 times better. So I think, how is that going to happen? And I said, happiness. Yeah, I'm just going to choose to be happy. And sometimes it's micro decisions, like in this second to this second, I'm going to be happy. And that's the best I can do. Because people ask me, like, what about the future? I don't know. What about tomorrow? I don't know. I just flow. So instead, I'm going to go with what I feel and say, and not worry if it's real. Because I think and overthink the overthinking, and I feel myself sinking. And I don't want to sink anymore. So I'm just going to level up, like Michael says, because that's what I feel needs to happen. And that's why I'm here, and there's a crazy cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles happening, and I feel it. And I just made the conscious decision to start a new cycle. So
Upward spirals, baby.
Upward spirals, yeah. Get that Kundalini rising. Bring that snake back in. That's where it's from. That's how it begins. That's where the serpent is. That's what the meaning is.
Be brave enough to step up and say, hey, it's a great day. Let's strive for something better. Let's reach. Let's take a chance together.
The weather.
Regardless of the weather, says my man Mike, who lives downstairs.
Never done this before. Let's see how this goes. So there's something that's come up in these flows with the connection between happiness and sharing. How do we take this vibe and give it to all the other people about whom we're caring? And there's a real deep connection between listening and happiness. That's what we're cultivating here in a certain sense, is a relaxing of our own defense, of blending with the flow, admitting perhaps what we don't know, and allowing that to fill us. Hopefully it doesn't kill us, but I remember being a kid and not being sure what's going on. The more I listen to reality's song, the more I realize I'm just a small map of it. I'm not quite sure how to put this into words, but reality is a rap and you've got to find the beat. Once you do, then you can follow it down the street. Where the street leads, well, that's the future from our perspective at least. So the least we can do is to listen a bit more, and then maybe we'll find all of our friends on the dance floor.
I feel like the question of digital connection and the things that we lose in this digital space, looking at the boxes on the screen and the glowing faces, Mike Shark, Harry Duran, Tyson Flows. I see all of you. I even see the ones without their video on. And I think this feeling I feel, this little bit of anxiety that's writhing up, am I going to say the right thing? What are they thinking? That this energy is what makes this real. This energy, this anxiety, this fear, this happiness, this joy, this ecstasy, whatever you want to call it, this is what makes it real. So sure, in some sense, on some level, you're all pixels here on this fine bezel, but that's not real. What's real is this feeling, and that's where you are.
Something like the person who lives a life aligned with the truth lives the purest form of worship. And that might make one feel like the truth is inward. But Harry raises a compelling point that those who don't know how to find that inward truth, what happens to them? And then there's the bigger point, which is the drum I always like to beat on, which is what about the role of other living creatures on this planet? And how does our alignment with the truth we see and our interaction with the oneness of this planet and all living creatures relate to our understanding of the role of those other creatures?
A couple things are coming up for me. I'm imagining Earth spiraling out into the depths of the galaxy, 26,000 years to be going around, even more than that. Holy shit. We're in this inorbitant orbit around the galactic center, and we're trying to find our own personal centers and trying to imagine the lives of you and I, all these people who are alive in this moment. But don't you see that there are poets and there are people who go beyond that? There are animals and all these other points of consciousness, and we're trying to do this dance where we can comprehend to the ends of all of these things that we want to find and love. What's going on in that mind? Is it something that we can comprehend? Is it something that we can remind ourselves of? Are we all on this conscious plane, this mimetic space that we can go into outer space when we're talking about this shit? I'm just dancing around in different places and different crowds, but animals are a little different, but can they eventually be on the same plane with you and me, with personhood and how does that intersect with artificial intelligence? And so the concept that comes from David Deutsch and this critical rationalist space, it's like, just like, what's personhood? And to me, that's a deep concept that has blended lives and points of consciousness and made me feel personally more alive. And I know that I'm just talking to this tribe that all believes in these similar things, looking for mimetic things that will connect the beings. And I'm rhyming the same word multiple times, so I want someone to chime in. And I'll leave it with a question. What connections do you see between you and me, between human beings, but even beyond that, between different living forms on Earth or different conceptual beings? And how can we foster that sense of inclusiveness to go deeper and further than our own small tribes?
To go deeper, watch My Octopus Teacher. A man goes into the ocean and he finds a little friend with 8 tentacles. They build a relationship, but it doesn't happen right away. I say he goes and meets a friend. It wasn't really like that. He went every day. He learned how it moved. He had to track it at the bottom of the ocean and see the prints that it made and all its ways of behaving in relation to its environment. He had to become like it because at one point he scared it away or something. Anyway, so he became an octopus, but he didn't go and like look at all the animals, you know? He went and like found one octopus and he learned as much as he could about that one creature. It's like to go all the way, it's like go deep. And so I was inspired by that. And I mean, I how to apply that, where to go. I don't want to be in like this like needy, like running out into the world and I need to find an animal to become friends with, but I'm listening. There's an animal out there and you know, we have a connection. I'm gonna notice that. I'm gonna foster that. I'm gonna come back and be in a consistent environment where there are animals to build a relationship with and learn about them and their ways of being and moving like them. I mean, that's activating or turning on waking up the shamanistic indigenous perspective and capacity that lies in all of us. That's what came up for me, was like a relationship with a creature. My question is, does anyone here have any special, what is the word for that, interspecies relationships that they want to share? And also, Rob, I see you unmuted.
My answer was not exactly along the lines of the question that you just gave me, but I'll do my best to answer both. We'll find it in the flow. I saw that documentary about the man and his 8-tentacled friend. And they said in the thing that an octopus has an IQ comparable to that of a house cat. I take issue. Because in this process, the octopus learns throughout its entire life, learns to make use of tools around it and its environment. It never watches any other octopuses to find this process. It just goes out and explores and plays and touches the world and turns into everything it sees, and it changes its skin and it changes its texture and it changes its color. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm seeing a picture of my own soul. I'm seeing a picture of something inside me where I think that process comes alive just the minute we're born. The moment I was born, I had to sort of reach out into the world in a way that no one could show me how. I had to figure out how to shape myself like this world. Yeah, I watched my parents. Yeah, I watched my people. Yeah, I tried to figure out what everybody was doing, but give it long enough, eventually that little time bomb explodes and you go, oh, I have a soul. I have this thing I have to do. I have this calling, this instinct. I've got like an animal intelligence inside me that has to touch the world to figure out how to hold it. So maybe I've got some interspecies relationship with my own Patronus. I don't think it's an octopus, but I can see how it's a learning intelligence, and I can see how it takes vulnerability and touch and contact with everything to develop. And that's romantic. I love. And so my question for the room is, how do you fall in love?
I have an interesting relationship with other species, other life forms, other existence, all existence. For example, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegan. If we could program ourselves to not eat plants, I wouldn't eat plants either. I don't want to do harm on any sentient being or anything in existence, but then I come back and I'm like, wait a minute. All is creation. All is conscious. Consciousness creates the entire universe, all of existence. And what am I doing? How do I live without harming consciousness? Am I harming consciousness? What am I doing? Can I do anything? It's all an illusion, isn't it? Well, nothing's an illusion. Everything just is. Reality is whatever you make it. So I would like to ask a question to anyone who wants to pick it up. Who are you?
Another thing I read, something about I was walking and in every step I encountered the true self. It was who I am, but I am not it.
I think who I am changes from moment to moment because I'm not a thing. I'm a web of connections. I evolve with every creature I meet, every plant, everything. And somebody, Kelly, maybe earlier was saying that what is this thing of humanity's specialness? And I can't find any principled way to distinguish between my friends that are cats and my friends that are trees and my friends that are you guys and my friend that's me. I mean, I have no way of drawing that line in a principled way. All the logic, analysis, and special training completely fails to tell me why a cat is not a person. So I exist as relationship, and I try to manifest love in that existence.
I love everyone, being so vulnerable, and I just want to say I love you so much, and I feel so communicative. I don't even know what words I'm saying, I just love all of you.
Yes.
I just got a short little phrase here. My ex sent me a note on my 50th birthday, and she said, we cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that we can do.
I noticed that the more space I initiate with the woman who perhaps I will procreate with, the more space we have, the deeper we go. The more space we have, the more we can grow. And I'm wondering, now that we've had this period of mutual isolation, what is the future? Where do we go? And perhaps this is a thing that for the rest of our lives, we're coming together, going apart, using the space, using the connection as a dance, as a mechanism for growth. So my question is, how do you conceive of space in relationships?
It starts from inside. It's got one dimension at first, then I find another and it creates a line. And then as soon as we draw together, we can see inside each other. And then there's something more like a deep inner world that I never knew before, inside myself and inside the other. The closer we get, the more space we have. Strange, it's a paradox, but if we draw apart, something closes off. That can be healthy too, right? But closing and opening seem to be in the reverse of the way you'd expect them to go. That's what I love about the surprise of falling for someone, is you'd think you would fall down low, but you fall up into the sky. It enlarges you to become so small. And in that space, it feels like I'm nothing at all.
Just by your presence here, literally by your faces, you're providing the energy that can take us to different places, even if you don't know what to say, even if you're just typing in the chat. That's where it's at. It's still all forms of communication, like me staring at the screen, you staring at me singing, me rapping, you typing, you watching. It's all happening. There's 25 people still in the flow, whether you know it or not. So if you feel that knot in your chest and you don't know what's best to say, just stretch yourself out of that comfort zone, because you're home. You're not alone. And the reason you're here is because this is a place where you can shed that fear and be who you want to be. This is the place. This is the space.
Step into the current. Today has been a day of flow, finishing with this awesome end of my night, every Monday night. We played our glass bead games tonight on what it is to be live in a digital village, a global digital village. We came up with a story that we are all chefs making the digital soup, all contributing with our flavor, with our spices, with our chunks and bits, and our color of the soup. I can feel it going in, and I can taste all your bits tonight. It's amazing. The flavor is fantastic. The colors I can see on the screen, the digital soup.
Being in my head so much, I try to know, I think I try to stop thinking. And then because there's so much thoughts in my head, I just don't know which one to target first, So in these rap battles, I feel kind of stunted. I feel like I'm just here, which one will I say? Which one will I even understand as I say? Will I understand what I'm saying? And it just makes, just hearing everybody sharing and everything, something just came. I guess it was more of a connection with everybody else rather than myself. I guess I'm proud of myself and now saying something. So even here, I'm pass it on to somebody else.
I'm proud of you for saying something, because this shit is hard. I'm noticing in my chest that it's fluttering like a butterfly, and oh my God. And I love that Emmanuel was screaming. I was screaming today in the car as well. I had an interaction with the cashier at the grocery store, and it was very negative. And I was in the car and I was feeling all of this energy, and I realized that I could scream, and so I did, and it felt much better. And I think I'll do it now, so maybe turn down your volume. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Ah! Woo! All right. Now I feel the energy is moving. I got y'all propped up on my TV, which is a little ironic because, it's like a laptop on top of a TV is some digital inception. And now I'm moving my body, and I'm moving the energy, and I'm seeing your beautiful faces and all these smiles, and I'm just feeling so connected and so grateful and so in love. So here's my question. How do you fall in love? Was that already a question? I feel like that was already a question.
Well, maybe it was, but love. You never step in the same river twice, right?
Yeah, let's do it again.
How do you fall in love? What is love? What do you mean by the concept of falling in love with something else? Do you love yourself? What does that mean to you? How do you fall in love? Someone else answered the question earlier, actually, which was satisfactory to me, to the best of my understanding of the concept of love in any of its possible meanings. You fall in love by paying attention. The more you understand about a thing, the more enraptured you become by the intricacies and complexities of its being. The more you see of it, the more you recognize of it in yourself. And it's important to do this. The greatest commandment in the religion that is often reviled, called Christianity, is that you love the nature of being, love itself, with every faculty at your disposal. and that you love the others around you to the extent that you love yourself, in the same way that you love yourself. The most imperative thing we can possibly do is pay as close attention to the nature of being as we can, until we feel a deep affection and an irresistible desire to participate in its unfolding, and then spread that as far and wide as we can within ourselves and with every other being around us. That's how you fall in love.